Hello and welcome to a new vlog and video in cooperation with ReiseJung. We're taking a look at day 3 on board of the Monarch Countess. We are in Le Havre, the end of the river Seine. From here we're starting excursions to Honfleur and Étretat, and here on the map you can see where we are. And in the evening we're continuing on to Rouen. We're leaving the ship in the morning, heading to our bus, and with the bus we're now going to Honfleur on the other side of the river. Le Havre is not the most beautiful city in my opinion. It has been destroyed in the Second World War almost completely and rebuilt in a modern way with a lot of concrete. Gonna see that later on. Honfleur has not been destroyed, looks very beautiful. We will also see that in a second. To get there we have to cross the Pont de Normandie, Bridge of the Normandy, very impressive building, more than 2 kilometers long. The pylons are almost 215 meters high. The clearance below the bridge is more than 50 meters, and with a distance of 856 meters between the piers. It also had a record for a cable-stayed bridge, and it was also the longest cable-stayed bridge in the world for quite a while. Here we are in the beautiful city of Honfleur. The view of the old port is pretty famous. Also a lot of paintings of this view have been done, but there is more to see than just the old harbor. There's more. There's a beautiful main shopping street with a lot of nice shops and cafes. There are also a lot of touristy shops. That's quite normal in a touristy city. But as you can see, the street itself is very beautiful, and there are also a lot of nice and interesting shops. Our guests had the choice to either discover Honfleur on their own or to join a guided tour. Most of them decided to go for the guided tour, but we wanted to explore the city on our own. Here we can see some more impressions from this wonderful city. Here we can see the tower of the church, which is not... And here we can see the church itself, a very beautiful wooden church. Unfortunately, there was a warship right now, so I couldn't enter and film the church, but there are also a lot of more sights. We then shortly went back to the harbor to see it from the other side, and here we can see the church from the other side. And then we went for a small cafe for yet another nice croissant and coffee before heading back to the bus, crossing the Pont de Normandie once again, enjoying the view from the bridge, an altitude of more than 50 meters down to the river Seine, and then back to Le Havre. We're then crossing another part of the port of Le Havre and the Canal de Tancarville. On this canal we have been cruising with our ship, as we're not allowed to sail on the last kilometers of the Seine. As to get to Le Havre we had to go to the open seas, which is not allowed with the river cruise ship, and also Honfleur is not possible with our ship because the Seine is so wide there that you already need special lifeboats to go to Honfleur that a regular river cruise ship does not have. There are just a handful of specialized ships that have extra lifeboats on board to go to Honfleur. And after a nice lunch on board, we took a bus again. This time we're heading to Étretat, but before we were looking at Le Havre. As I said, there's a lot of concrete. I don't think this is very beautiful, but it is UNESCO World Heritage, especially because of the concrete design of the city. There's one building that even I think is beautiful, and that's this church. It's not beautiful from the outside, but it looks like this from the inside. It is one of the most spectacular churches I've ever seen in my life, and I highly recommend visiting the church Saint-Joseph in Le Havre, especially because of the more than 100 meters high tower, which is completely hollow from the inside, so the view from down to the top of the tower is extremely spectacular, and those colorful windows give a very impressive atmosphere and very beautiful colors inside of the building. So make sure to visit that church. It is highly recommended to go inside. Entrance is free, you can just head inside. But from the outside it looks like this, so you wouldn't expect it to be such a nice church, but as you have just seen, it is absolutely worth a visit. We're now heading on to Étretat, which is one of the most famous tourist sites of northern France. It is a small village which is mainly famous for its rock arches on both sides of the village. That's why we're heading there now. Here we are driving past the airport of Le Havre, only seeing a few regional flights a week. and here we are in Étretat. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes to walk from the bus parking lot to the beach. You're walking past this interesting market hall, also very beautiful, but of course the main side are the rock arches. There are arches on both sides. I would recommend heading to the northern side first. That's the Porte d'Amont. From there you have this beautiful view. You can see the bigger arch from above. On the other side you can see the village of Étretat, and also the way there is a bit easier than the way on the other side. But we tried to give enough time to also give at least a chance to go to both sides if you're walking a bit faster. It was possible, but also of course you could just stay down in the beautiful village or just go up to one side. Going to the other side is quite exhausting, so if you just want to go to one side I would recommend going to the northern side, Porte d'Amont. What's quite interesting, especially for a German, is that there are no barriers. You just have to use your brain and decide for yourself what is safe to do and what is unsafe. I really like that, to not be in front of fences all the time. But of course you have to be careful, especially if you're there with children. We then walked back down. Here we can see the beautiful waves, and the sound that the waves and the stone beach are making is insane. It's very, very beautiful, but unfortunately there was some live music, so I cannot show it to you right now. And I walked then up to the other side. It's the Porte d'Aval. The way up there is way steeper. It's quite exhausting, but you have a very beautiful view from there as well, because only from there you can see the Manaport, which is the third rock arch. You cannot see this from Étretat or from the other side. The view to Étretat on the other side is not that spectacular. That's why I would recommend going to the other side first, but if you want to see the Manaport, then you have to go to this side as well. What's also quite nice is on this side you can access one of the rocks, so you can go inside of the rock to see how it looks like from close. We're gonna go there in a second. But to see both sides I would say you need at least 2 hours of free time in Étretat. We had a bit more than 2 hours, so it was possible, but still it felt a little bit rushed to go to both sides. Here we are now heading down to the rock, and this is what the rocks are looking like from the inside. There's a small cave that you can access. Not too spectacular, but quite interesting to see. Then it was time to head back down into the city center of Étretat, because I wanted to enjoy a glass of French wine at the beach. That's why I'm now walking quite fastly back to the city, so I have enough time to do so. And here is my glass of wine, of course quite expensive, directly at the beach. And now we can listen for a very short moment to the sound of the beach and the stones. After enjoying that, it was now time to head back to the bus. As I said, about 15 minutes. If you're not that fast, maybe 20 minutes. I can also do it in 10 minutes. That's up to your walking speed, of course. And then we're heading back to Le Havre, and it's already time for dinner. So it was a quite exhausting day, but we saw 2 very, very beautiful tourist destinations here in and around Le Havre. Here we are back on the ship, and it's already time for dinner. Also, dinner was amazing again, and this time we had our 2 beloved artists, Valerie and Thomas, again on board. So today was the first show. It was the Cynical Show, combination of music from movies, cinema and musical. And in the meantime also the river cruise ship Gloria was leaving Le Havre. And also this show was amazing, with a very good feedback from our guests. Guests were cheering and applauding for quite a while. They really enjoyed the show, I also did. And in the meantime we also left Le Havre, sailing on the Canal de Tancarville on to Rouen, but that will be the topic of the next video. Here you can see when it will be uploaded and the name of the song. As always, I'd like to say thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to comment, like, subscribe or share the video link, and I hope to see you in my next video then.